The British have no shortage of racing circuits. Car culture in the UK is arguably one of the most active and fervent as anywhere in the world. With that abundance of racetracks, it means some of them could be considered smaller club tracks, if you will. And though most might place Oulton Park among those, there was a time where F1 cars did race here. Today, we step back in time to witness one of those classic machines attempt to tackle it. We'll see who can wield all this power around this narrow, bumpy track as we get ready to watch round 6 of the Lotus 49 World Cup. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, Oulton Park doesn't see quite as much use on iRacing, so why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about the track?
Joe, I would be happy to talk about this old country estate here in a little Budworth, just outside of the Tarporley in Cheshire. And Joe, this track, the International No Chicane course that we're running today, 2.6 miles, 4.3 kilometers, 12 turns. You know, it's been a venue for F1, a little slice of history there back in 1961 when Sterling Moss took the unique four-wheel drive Ferguson to victory. The only time a total traction car has triumphed in the top category. But this track is exciting, sweeping contours in a picturesque setting, and it has been one of England's most popular racetracks from its very first laps in the 50s. But I've talked about it enough. Why don't we hop on board for a GSRC lap guide in the Lotus 49.
All right, we've got Billy Bob Wright and the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Oulton Park. Down in Old Hall Corner, there's a deceptively late apex here. Turn in too early and you'll find yourself using up the runoff. Up next is Denton's, which is flat out in most cars, but with the 49, you need a big lift to make sure you're on the correct line. Hold off to the right and then ease it around Cascades. You'll need patience before you fully get to the throttle out of here. And yet it's very important to not hesitate too much because it's a decently long run down Lakeside up to Island Bend. If ever there was a corner that requires bravery, this is one. Understeer and oversteer can both spell the end of your day in a flash. Then keep the car to the left and throw out the anchors for Shell Oil's corner. It's going to be pretty hard to set up passes into here, but coming off, be gentle with how hard you apply the throttle. After that, you'll need a big lift and as wide an entry as you can through turn 6. And yet the backstretch is not without dangers either. The car can get loose over the crest of Hilltop, and it might be a good idea to lift off the throttle just a hair. From there, you plunge into the braking for Knickerbrook. This fast kink requires incredible precision, and it won't be uncommon for drivers to wreck the car here. Just to emphasize the lack of downforce on this car, Clay Hill and Water Tower also can't be taken flat out. Hold the car to the left and straighten it out for the braking into Druids. There's 2 apexes to clip, then watch out for the crest on the exit. From there, Lodge can sometimes offer passing opportunities, but you need a really good run on your competitor. Stab the brakes hard, and then the track really drops away coming out of here, so be wary not to loop it. From there, you'll moderate the throttle over the hill, and hopefully you've now finished a lap around Oulton Park.
There you see a lap around, a very bumpy, harrowing lap around Oulton Park. Why don't we take a chance to glance at the championship while we've got the opportunity, starting with the driver standings. Now, David Gaspers is back up at the top, and you might notice that he has taken a little bit of a jump in the points. Now, that is because that little droplet now indicates that we have a single drop week into account. And because of that, David Gaspers drops a little bit of a worse result there, meaning that he has a bigger gap. And that means that Demetrios, with him dropping to 25, is got a little bit of work to do, but he's got consistency on his side. Now in third, you'll see Ove and Gary tied at 48 points back, but Ove lacking any drop weeks left. He has 0 there with a few bad results in there, which means he's under the gun for the rest of the season. Marco Kika, of course, rounding things out there in 5th. Sean, what about the second place, or the F2 standings, we should say?
Yes, let's look at the junior championship here, the F2 driver standings. Matt Wright, they're moving into the top spot there and sitting up there with 54 points now. Hideki Koivitso only trailing by 3. and dropping from that top spot. But trust me, that's not a big deal yet. Corey Vito's not going anywhere. Now, Don, tell me something good. Don's up to third, and Don is having an impressive start to this season. I say start. We're halfway through it after today. So he's looking good right now. He just got to continue to have good races. Robert Reynolds down in fifth, 30 points out, not out of anything yet. Still with a chance to pick up points, but Joe, a bit of a thin field today. So if you're not here, you're going to miss a really, really good opportunity to pick up good, solid points.
Very much so. And, well, we do have the Constructors' Championship to worry about. And as we pull that up, essentially a nation's championship that they do in this series, since they run it like the old days back in '67. Germany is tied now with the UK. Claridge, Price, Perry, Lake, a lot of people, all against one man, David Gaspers, who unfortunately is not here today to compete. So UK will probably overtake them. Greece, they're sitting in third, only 11 points back. So Huda Ludi's keeping that close with them as well. Now, the U.S. is a ways back, even though they've got both Teal and Good contributing points. They just haven't been able to do much, making a dent in there. Teal really contributing most of those points. And Finland manages to pop themselves up into the top 5 over Australia. Sean, we might have some viewers who have popped over from the 24 Hours of Spa to take a look at this. So in case they haven't watched the World Cup before, why don't you tell them what's this all about?
Let's do it. Let's look at the details today. Of course, is round 6. As I said, the completion of today's round, we will be halfway through the season officially. At today's race, this is only 18 laps, but, well, it's over 2.5 miles. It will be a good race. Very competitive. A lot of tricky areas on this track. The setup open. What does that mean? Well, that means the drivers, their crew chiefs, and or anybody else who they've got to help it have been able to adjust this car to their liking, and not many adjustments on a Lotus 49, but certainly the type of adjustments that you'd want to make, such as braking and things of that nature. And we've got a pretty detailed point system that was flashed up there, but right now it's Michel Dugnan in charge of qualifying, Joe, with a little less than 3.5 minutes to go.
And he is followed very closely by Dave Price, who just finished his qualifying in second, was not able to get ahead of him, and in fact is behind by nearly a second. We saw similar results in the warm-up, not this warm-up, but the practice session before this race session opened up, where Michel Dugnan really had the measure of the field. I'm looking through to see who has laps left to do. Gary Teal back in 5th coming around. He tends to be a little bit up there in pace. Let's see what he can do. Sits at a 1:23.7. Up over Deer Leap and across the start-finish line as we ride on board. That second lap, not faster, unfortunately. 5th is the best we're going to see out of him.
Ove still got one going here. He's got that first lap in, currently sitting 3rd. Coming around to complete a second lap.
I think I saw him exiting out of the pits to start this lap, though, so I don't know if this one is going to count. And he just had an off anyway, so
yeah, it's not going to matter.
3rd place, the best you're going to see for him. I believe that Johnny Bell, the last one we're waiting on to take his second lap out there. Don Good still has 1 lap to go, but he is sitting in the pits. About 2 minutes left on the track there as we watch the driver from Pennsylvania work his way up around Water Tower. Tricky part of this circuit, even though it doesn't look like it. And then into Druids. And Sean, one of the drivers in the lead up to this race described it as like driving a car on a trampoline covered in oil. Describe to our viewers what they're experiencing, because this car is so unique in how it runs around this circuit compared to others.
I'm not going to admit to actually being on a trampoline covered in oil, but I might have at one point. No, but it's Joe. It's really slick out here, and the weather isn't helping it a whole lot. It's 96 degrees on track. 92 there on screen. 66 degrees outside, only partly cloudy, Joe. But the bigger concern is that, as we've already seen in qualifying here, the car is really on the limit in a lot of places, and boy, it's really easy to get off course. And once you hit the grass in a Lotus 49, you're a passenger. There's not much control of the car, so it's going to be really, really important to back up your corners here. Knickerbocker is going to be really, really tricky. That's turn 7 on the back section of the course, and we may see cars find their way off there. Joe, it's going to be an adventure today.
Yeah, and we got a good view with Knickerbocker. I wasn't going to correct you. We saw a good view of Zoko, even coming over a Deer Leap, which is no problem for most cars. They need a big lift. You saw how sideways the car got. Not just that it's slippery, but those crests really cause some issues. So qualifying over. Let's go through our starting order. Michel Dudignan retaining that pole. Looking hard to challenge today. Dave Price is going to be starting in second with Ove Trangarade in third. Nicola Kochi was looking better in the warm-up, but still managed to qualify fourth. Let's see if his pace picks up during the race. Gary Teal starts in fifth with Michael Berg, going to be starting in P6. In seventh, it'll be Ben Zoko, and Sean Hideki Koivisto will start in eighth.
Joe, Jason Perry going to take the ninth spot there. Matt Wright will start 10th this morning. Randy Huff, 11th. 12th for Don. Tell me something good. Daniele Gattuso, 13th. Johnny Bell rounding out the last row there in 14th. And Robert Reynolds gets to start by himself in the back of the field in 15th, in the number 15.
You can see from above the cars getting out to the grid. We're just waiting for Teal and Reynolds to find their way out. Reynolds did not take a qualifying lap, but 14 of our 15 cars did. Nice colorful rows of cars. Teal, the last one, as now Reynolds has rocked up to this slightly curved grid, so something to take into account as these cars do not like accelerating when they're not in a straight line. Might be difficult for the cars in the back. Everybody out there now. So as the engines start to rev here in round 6 of the Lotus 49 World Cup, the lights are up. Green flag is out. Dudignan getting a good start off the line. Dave Price not as good. Ove Trangarade takes a peek around the outside but can't do anything with it. Old Hall corner a bit narrow on the exit, but everybody nice and safe through, Sean.
It's a good start, Joe. Got a little bit better than I expected. Got one car running a little bit wide, but keeps it on track. And boy, that's what I talked about in the beginning. It's going to be so important today, is just keeping the car on track here over these 18 laps.
Around Island Bend, it's so tough around here, especially on this first lap where you've got a car making you a bit unsighted. But wow, this is one of the cleanest we've seen even for this series. Everybody so quickly into single file. That just tells you, Sean, how hard it is to try to race side by side around here.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see much of that side by side racing. We'll go back to the trampoline covered in oil. I don't want to be next to the guy covered in oil. And a car off at the back here. Who is that? That's wasn't Daniele. No, Randy Huff. Randy Huff getting off course there. He's back on.
Yeah, and miraculously for him, he did not hit the wall. There's very little runoff on the outside. Oh, actually, he did. He just glanced it. I took a second look at it. We'll come back to it in a second. They're coming out of Druids already down into Lodge. And actually, our leaders have completed the first lap already. Really, Dudignan streaking away to a 2-second lead. Dave Price makes a big mistake into Old Hall, but Ove Trangarade not able to do anything with it as they streak down into Dentons and Cascades.
Yeah, I think Ove trying not to make any mistakes of his own. That's why you didn't see an overtake there. He's got the car on the limit right now. I've seen 2 tires off in the grass a couple of times, and he's not struggling with it, but he's also not making up any real ground. In fact, here comes Nicola Kochik into the picture, Joe.
But this will be an interesting one if Dave Price is the cork in the bottle in for second place. These guys are gonna be eager. And Trangrade, boy, I feel bad for him because we keep harping on it, but he is mistake prone out there. Even the other drivers know it, have commented on it. So we'll see if he can handle the fact that not only has he got to try and work on the car ahead, but he's got to withstand the pressure from behind as they work their way through the double apexer of Druids. Behind these guys, you'll catch glances of Gary Teal, also under pressure from Michael Berg, completing lap 2. I think we have some time, as Michel Duvignon sits fastest lap, to take a glance at that replay of what happened to Randy Huff through Knickerbrook.
Yeah, here he is.
Simply driver error.
Boy, yep, I saw it there at the end, Joe. He did just nick it, didn't he? The tail kicked out on it and kind of got a piece of the wall. There we go, on board. This will be a better shot of it, probably.
Just outbraked himself right as I was talking about it. Wide into the corner. He knew it. He was trying desperately to stay out of there. I think he got away without damage.
Yeah, I think so. He hadn't picked up any spots yet as a result of that, but maybe exuding a little bit of patience right now.
Oh, he's got it all to do at a track where it is oh so hard to overtake. Taking a look at Randy back there in 13th now. We were watching Kochi at the back of that three-way battle. The number 7 starting to lose a little bit of touch with Ove Trangrade now. Under the bridge, down to Lodge. So hard to get to the power as the track drops away here. You can see from the nose cam just how much it just is a cliff from off of that corner.
Boy, and Don Good just had an off in Knickerbrook. I knew that was coming. I knew somebody was going to have trouble over there, and obviously we've already saw Huff have trouble, and now Don Good has got caught up over there.
It's going to gift a position to Johnny Bell. Let's see, as the Club West driver. Yep, almost the exact same of what we saw with Huff.
You can see the tire tracks over there, exactly. Followed him right in.
Oh, that new feature really helps us, alerts us that something has happened there that we missed. So,
well, Don's back to the power, and he's chasing Randy Huff, and got a chance here to get himself one more.
That's Johnny Bell, actually, that he's chasing. Oh, and Ove Trangrade. Oh, he's off over Hilltop. Sean, I made a note in the script that this is one of the danger zones. It's you wouldn't think that a straightaway would be an issue, but it's just that bad bounce.
Boy, and he was in trouble there. You could see the hands immediately as soon as the car hits the ground. He was just struggling to get it back under him, and well, that's going to probably end his day early.
Yeah, this is going to look weird to the viewers. I can attest. I hated this section with all of my being because it took me out of probably a good half a dozen races. Just you're pushing hard. You don't want to lift too much, but you have to, or else you saw what happened.
Well, there is a major contender done from this race today already. That's a shame, man, losing Ove.
It really is, but Gary Teal's not thinking that way. That promotes him up on the podium, having started in 5th. And he's overtaken Kochi when we weren't looking. Somewhere he not only dropped back, but has lost a position. And in fact, he's well behind Teal, about over a second, with both Ben Zocco and Michael Berg now chasing him down. A little bit farther back, Matt Wright and Jason Perry battling for P8 in the mid-pack. Wright was all over the back of him heading up into Knickerbrook. Had to drop back a little bit because can't follow too closely into that corner. We ride on board with the Australian down into Lodge. unfortunately, a horrible exit out of that corner is going to cost him a little bit of time.
Nobody pressing too hard yet, Joe. I'm watching Michael Berg. He's got a... Oh, wait a minute. Johnny Bell just had a problem?
He did
yeah,
indeed.
He's around.
And he found the wall.
Man, and you know what it was, Joe? He goosed the throttle. I could hear it right there. He tries to get back to the power, maybe did a little bit too aggressively, then gets out of it, and the momentum is already around on him.
The good news for Johnny is that, well, I was going to say that he hit it square on, but it looks like he did have to take a tow. Yeah, this will give you a good angle here from on board. Hearing that engine just suddenly pick up power when it loses traction over that crest. And, well, the number 14 has, I think his day might be ended even. When Randy Huff has had more problems, finds himself in the pits, this one out of Cascades.
Wow, he's going to get into the grass there a little bit. And
Sean, that dreaded A word is raising its head around here. Attrition.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's the order of the day right now. We've only knocked out, what?
3 drivers are in the pits. Yeah, after 7 laps.
Joe, we had said this was an 18-lap race. That was my mistake. This is a 24-lap race. I'm sorry we had the graphic wrong there in the details, but yeah, that's seven laps in, and we've lost, 3 drivers already in this 15-car field.
And I suspect we might see a few more before all is said and done. We're watching Hideki Koivisto being chased by Jason Perry, who has disposed of Matt Wright at this point. Coming around up to Knickerbrook one more time. Perry dropping back just a little bit. You can see that suspension working over Hilltop from the onboard shot. And up through Water Tower. Another corner where just that crest and that kink causing you to have to lift. Perry looking very strong under braking into Druids here. Oh, he's going to have an opportunity, Sean, down into Lodge.
He sure is here. He's getting a good look out of it. This might be one of the best passing opportunities we've seen yet. Certainly got him in the crosshairs, doesn't he?
Backed out of it. He braked very early into Lodge. It's one of the few places where you can try and make a pass. Oh, very unsteady through Old Hall. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. Backs off of it through Denton's. Very late apex for Jason through Cascades, but it does not gain him much. What was about 0.2 is now back to over half a second.
Joe, the battle for third is intense. It's been fun to watch. Gary Teal still hanging onto that spot. Kochi continues to threaten, to stay in the mirror, to be a factor in this battle. Kochi having a really fun drive. He's getting a run at him here.
Certainly applying the pressure. He wants that back. Remember, he would have had that third place had it not been for the mistake that we missed. We'll need to go back and check on that at some point. And waiting in the wings, munching on some popcorn, Michael Berg.
Yes, he is.
It's the first time I think we've seen him in this series, at least on the broadcast races that I can recall. Could be incorrect on that. We've had a slew of newcomers.
He is a California driver, which means, well, it's pretty early in the day for Michael. I can relate, and he's having a solid run here in what appears to be his debut here, at least in the broadcast.
Kicking off at 6:30 a.m. over there on the West Coast here to this race. That's Robert Reynolds. You saw getting lapped. That was not poor position. Reynolds getting very good about letting drivers by, though. Well,
we've been taking care of him at the Back Markers United meetings, Joe, and he gets extra bear claws. So
there's as we watch Kochi just following in the tire tracks now of Gary Teal. Waiting, watching, seeing if maybe he's slower in sections that'll offer a chance. If there's a slip up anywhere that could give him a way by, but so far, no dice for the Italian. Down into Lodge one more time. Gary Teal nice and tidy up to that corner. Saw a little bit of a squirm on the power from Kochi. Such a unique track. One of the complaints I often hear about more modern circuits, Sean, is just that they're constant radius corners and very consistent with that. I don't think this place has a consistent radius in its bone.
No, there's the only thing consistent about this track is that it's difficult to drive, Joe. Kochi continuing to apply pressure. Look at that. What a run there through Shell Oils. Really able to just stay on the power, and he seems to be managing this track really well. Maybe a passing opportunity here.
You got to be so brave.
Didn't happen.
I was going to say, even though there's braking into this corner for this car, that is a last lap move to me. And you could see on the screen that Kochi elects to do the same, but that was the closest we've seen him. And this has brought Berg into it as well, the gap decreasing, just holding it about 0.3, both of them equidistant. Oh, what a bad exit out of Lodge from Michael Berg. Not too bad. It looked awful as he was way off the edge of the track. This is our closest battle out there. The only other one happening right now that we're missing is Perry and Coivisto, but this one farther up the pack. Almost a stalemate between these three vehicles. That is Teal up at the front in the white machine. Kochi in his almost neon greenish yellow car sits in fourth in the number 7. Berg in 5th at the back, and the teal and black number 9. This is one of those. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just to say, again, considering this is the first time at least we can recall seeing Michael Berg, I'm impressed, man, with his pace, especially at Oulton Park.
He's been very smooth on what is a difficult circuit, but he may have been running, just not on the broadcast races that we haven't seen. Let's step away from this for just a second up to the leader and take a look at Dudignon, because he's stretched it out to 10 seconds over Dave Price. This is pretty much what we expected, that he would just scamper away with this one without Mick Claridge here today. 7th place, though, getting very hot. In fact, it has changed positions as Jason Perry, who has been working on Hideki Coivisto, overtakes him, and I think this took place into Lodge. And replay. Let's see, a bit of a mistake maybe out of Druid setting it up here, Sean?
Yeah, maybe so. That's what we're going to see here on camera. We'll go on board with Hideki.
Let's listen to see if maybe he had a little bit of a problem getting on the power. Boy, you can't miss his hands with those gloves. Well, it almost, not a mistake, but just a phenomenal run, I think, from Perry. You could see before they even got over the hump, he was already gaining out of that corner. Well, that bumps him up to 7th now. Just about halfway through this race, and with no pit stops to worry about, let's run through the field. We've got only 12 cars left, so we can go through the whole field, actually. Give everybody a little bit of screen time. Let's start with our leader once again, Michel Dudignon. Remember, put it on the pole by nearly a second And this is going to be a big points haul for the Frenchman. Can this get him back into the points hunt? We'll have to see, because we're missing a lot of big names due to the 24 hours of Spa. Back in second, Dave Price was the cork in the bottle, but something happened that we missed, I think. Oh, no, actually, no, we haven't missed anything. Sorry, that was a battle for third that we were watching earlier. Dave Price has about 4 seconds over Gary Teal. And Teal is the one that we've been watching battling here, the three-way fight. The number 3 car has been fending them off for quite a while. Nicola Kochi has lost that third position early on in the race, has been trying so hard to get it. But back behind them, we do see a car dropping off. We were complimenting Berg, but the number 9, the newcomer, we believe at least, has dropped back about a second from these two. That has got him into the top 5, though. Sean, what's the next 5 look like?
Okay, Joe, right now it's Ben Zocco hanging on to 6. He's really kind of been all alone on the track here for quite a while. Zocco focusing on his drive, not having a battle with anybody, continues to hold down that 6th spot. Hideki Koivitso gets back around Jason Perry. Perry made a mistake and got off track, didn't hit anything, but Koivitso back to that 7th spot, with now Jason Perry following again and having to get back to work on what will be another attempt to pass Hideki. Now, Matt Wright currently sits back in 9th, and he's watching this battle. He is calculating a possible entry into a better position here if one of these guys in front of him makes a mistake. Daniele Gattuso, Joe, riding in 10th. The Italian up 3 spots, having a decent run here, and well, managing to keep the car still in this race. Just behind him, Kochi.
We've got to duck away from the rundown for Kochi. I was watching this happen. He discovered exactly what Ove Trangere did. The run over Hilltop is just so dangerous. Look at the ride that he goes on. He saves it for a little bit longer, but then those bounces over the grass meant it sent him flying backwards, and he had to wait patiently to get going.
Wow. On board with Michael Berg, he gets a pretty good look at it.
Yeah, and boy, I would be scared out of my wits seeing that car bounding around ahead of me, not knowing where it's going to wind up.
Yeah, he guessed lucky right there, Joe.
Well, I'm glad we're getting some illustrations of just how tough it is driving this track. I usually was very ardent about driving every week when I drove in this series, Sean. This was one of the ones I almost always skipped on. Is that hard? So, we were talking about Gattuso in 10th, Don Good sitting in 11th, and rounding out our field, the only car lap down at the moment is the number 15 of Robert Reynolds, still getting laps in. Oh, and Johnny Bell actually has come back out on track, just as I was saying that. So 13 cars running again. Glad to see Johnny try and get it going.
Yeah, Johnny's back out. Now, he had a little over 11 minutes in the pit stall, but the car back on track. And Joe, I mean, he stands to pick up a 13th spot here if he can finish this out. He still has a little bit of damage on the car, but it's turning.
And earlier on, as we were doing the rundown, we did miss a pass between Koivisto and Perry. Looks like we've got a replay on it. I haven't even seen this myself. Where did this take place? Let's see, this is coming up to Lodge, it looks like. That's Perry ahead. Did he make a mistake over Deerleap?
Well, mistakes, they have been part of Perry's repertoire today, unfortunately. And he just misses that tire barrier.
Woo!
Wow.
Inches there separating him. I'm sure he'll enjoy going back and watching that. Let's watch from on board the UK and I driver. Once again, just a bad bounce down the front stretch, and it sent him into the grass right when he wanted to be braking. My goodness. That allowed Hideki back into 7th. He has not relinquished it since. That's really our closest battle now, because we can't step away for a second to take a glance at Thiel and Berg. Remember, Kochi had his problems. He dropped behind Berg, only lost 1 position in that. But Berg was already dropping back. So what it was a 3-car battle is a no-car battle, as Berg is 3.3 seconds behind the 3rd place driver of Thiel.
Yeah, and Dave Price has done a good job up in 2nd of just separating himself from all of this mess, Joe. Kind of on track by himself at the moment. And of course, Dugnan is just continuing to just pull away from the rest of the guys, now enjoying a 13.5-second lead.
Down to 8 laps to go. Well, the closest battle has switched back to 3 cars between 7th, 8th, and 9th. Koivisto, Perry, and Wright all together. And Perry seems to be itching to get back ahead of the Finn. Really starting to apply pressure. Two very different lines through that corner between those 2 cars, and I've noticed that earlier in the race as well. Perry very much late apexing Cascade, Sean, but Koivisto hugs the inside almost all the way around the corner.
He does, Joe, and well, a good example of just driving style right there, and how it can differ between one from the other. Great onboard shot here with Perry. He's still trying to reel in Hideki Koivisto again.
The other interesting thing that we can notice from that onboard up and over Hilltop is it's not just a matter of lifting over there, but this coincides with what I found. The drivers actually have to go to the middle of the track. Now, I'm not sure if that's a combination of it being less of a bump and the fact that just trying to save the car in case it does get out from under you, or maybe one or the other.
Yeah, no, I think it's less of a bump there in the middle of the track, Joe. That's been my experience anyway. That just seems like the preferred line. Hey, let me give you a quick update on Michael Berg. Now, of course, he's up in 4th. But
sorry, on screen, yeah, Jason Perry took a dive down into Old Hall, and it did not come off. I don't think he's going to get a cut course for that. We'll find out soon enough, but certainly brought him back into Matt Wright. Sorry, go ahead there, Sean. Looks like it's debated.
It's still intense. That has not gone away. But I did want to say Michael Berg, in the closing laps of this race, they've got a little over 6 laps to go, but he is closing on Gary Thiel ever so slightly. But man, it's a 3.5-second margin, and I don't know if that could be made up here at Oulton Park. And I think something bad would happen to Gary for that to work out for Michael.
Yeah, I don't think he's gaining quick enough, unfortunately. But and we've had a car towing. Oh, Johnny Bell. Oh, for the 2nd time today. Out of Cascades this time. And not the first car we've seen make a similar mistake out of that corner. Too much power, sending them spearing off into the barrier where there's no tires to absorb the impact. And this time, for sure, we know this is the day done for Johnny Bell.
Well, it's a shame. It was good to see him get back out there for a few minutes. But Cascades has been a bit of an Achilles heel today for several drivers.
Yep, nobody likes to have their bell rung out of that corner. So, Jason Perry, once again, we're watching, is recovered, trying to get back up to Koivisto, but it is slow going, still about 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, he's not chipping away at this rock very quickly, Joe, and he's running out of time. I mean, he's passed Hideki Koivisto once, twice today. Will Hideki let that happen again? Right now, Hideki seems to have the focus to finish this race out in 7th, but we'll see here. Still have 5 exciting laps to go.
I think Hideki is going to fight a little bit harder here at the end. That's if Perry can catch him before he was able to. But right now, he's struggling to try and reel him in. Up at the top of the screen, you probably saw a flash of purple as, I hate to make it sound a little blasé, but Michel Dudignon set another fastest lap and has extended it to now 16.8 seconds.
Yeah, Michel got another fast lap.
Boy, the number one car making sure that it stays that way. Very smooth around this circuit as the car bounds over the leaps and bumps. Very hard to be smooth around this track. You know, after Kochi's incident, we should point out he's back to within a second of Berg now.
Yeah, he's definitely turning up the wick here a bit. I was talking about Berg trying to catch Gary Teal. Well, that thought's over. Now he's got to defend here and not let Kochi by. Kochi is really at it right now.
Going to be a disappointing race for the Italian as he has a big slide through Lodge and somehow gathers it back up.
That wasn't good.
Oh, there goes that thought of Kochi trying to take fourth back.
No, he's not quite dead yet, Joe. Just a flesh wound. I think he's hanging in here.
I think I might pull through, sir. So, Nicola Kochi, still within 1.3. You are right, but man, that was so close to the wall. Can we get an onboard replay of Deer Leap for Nicola Kochi? Because, my God, he's going to need a new race suit after this. Jeez, great hands there. He felt that one coming. Usually the bright yellow that he's using is indication of danger. He's going to want a flag in that color on that corner. Oh, and Jason Perry has lost a position to Matt Wright. What happened here? Oh, this is the first time we've seen Island bite someone. This is another one that'll put your heart in your throat.
Boy, and he's going to get he's going to get both right wheels off into the grass here, Joe. You're going to see, and it, like a magnet, it just keeps him over there. It pulls him off and draws him right into the barrier. Wow.
We couldn't see it from that, but yeah, he did make contact with the right side wheels. Now, did this damage the car enough that it hurts his handling? He's got about 4 seconds back to Gattuso. Watch on board. Yeah, you're trying to get as much road as you can on that right side, and he took too much where there wasn't any more road.
Heck, that's a tough break for Perry, man. He had battled so hard for most of this race. I'm sure Hideki is glad to see him out of the mirror at this point, but maybe not that way. Joe, Michael Berg still holding on to that 4th spot. Kochi not making up the ground he was, unfortunately. Don't know if that late race charge, as you see it on camera here, or, well, okay, sorry, not on camera there. Kochi sliding it through Druids here just a moment ago.
And he slid it through again. We didn't see it on camera, but he was way wide in the middle of those apexes. I feel like we've seen this before with Kochi, unfortunately, Sean. He seems to overdrive the car when he starts to want more.
Well, he's still in for a good finish here. He's got to be smart over the last couple laps of this race and maybe not worry about, I know you're a racer and you want to catch that car in front of you, but again, you're on your way to a good finish here. Maybe just keep the car where it needs to be here.
We're going to have to look away from the excitement of Kochi in a second because Michel Dudignon is looking at a lights to flag victory here in the Lotus 49 World Cup. Round 6 goes completely to the Frenchman. If he can make one more lap, he's going to put one on Robert Reynolds. So he comes up over Deer Leap. Reynolds just holding off to the side, letting that blue car through. And actually, that's something worth pointing out. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that blue that the Frenchman is wearing is the national colors of France that they used to have back in the day. Don't know if you have that for sure or not, Sean.
Yeah, I got a big I don't know for you on that, Joe.
All right,
sorry.
we'll have to look that up. The Peanut Gallery wants to weigh in. I think that's correct. We'll find out for sure. But Dudignon around the Shell Oil corner, the hairpin, the only hairpin that you get around this track, just has to lift here over Hilltop. No reason to risk the car. He's got 20 seconds, nearly 21 seconds. He gets through there fine. Then through Knickerbrook, also no problem for the Frenchman. Just guiding the car through at this point, taking it easy. Into Druids he goes. First apex, second apex, over the crest. Essentially a victory lap for him. Around Lodge, one more corner, which is Deer Leap. In this car, it's a corner nobody else experiences that. The win goes to Michel Dudignon. And we thought Coachy was done, but that battle heating up, Sean.
So much for giving up. Yeah, Coachy. And by the way, the Peanut Gallery chimed in. It is French blue. But Coachy, all over the gearbox right now. Michael Berg. Oh, man.
Almost getting into him. And that's going to deny him the one last chance here into Lodge. Coachy maybe should have backed up the corner a little bit, but coulda, woulda, shoulda. Michael Berg going to get himself a wonderful fourth here today. Coachy takes fifth. Benzoko with a sixth place.
That's about as quiet a race as Zoko's had, I think, in a long time.
I'm sure he's happy to have that.
Yeah.
Didn't want to focus on anything else except driving this track. Coy Visto going to get seventh, and Matt Wright following him home. No answer for the Finn in eighth, but ahead of Jason Perry, maybe kicking himself a little bit, having lost the opportunity to finish as high as seventh. With that, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. And before we get to that, you will see on your screen all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Oulton Park, among the hills, among the picturesque forest and water. It was a romp for Michel Dudignon to win round 6 here at this track, winning by nearly 23 seconds when all is said and done. That is a huge gap even for this series. Dave Price managed to get a second place. I'm sure he'll enjoy that points haul that he'll get from that. And Gary Teal taking a podium today, not without some pressure, but everybody else fell away while that number 3 car just basically took it home. Michael Berg gets a 4th. We would love to talk to him to see if this is his first time running on the broadcast or not. Nicola Kochi tried his hardest, but has to settle for a top 5. Ben Zocco, we mentioned, really, we didn't see anybody around him throughout most of the race, just running by himself out there. Hideki Koivisto follows him home in 7th. And then 8th, Sean, was Matt Wright, who overtook Perry from his mistake.
Yes, sir. And boy, Jason Perry going to have to settle for 9th. What a hard-fought race for Jason. Coming up a little bit short today, though. 9th place, Daniele Gattuso. 10th place for him, Don Good, going to finish 11th. Robert Reynolds took a good crack at it. Did a great job of staying out of the way and letting the leaders get by. He will be rewarded with a 12th place finish. Last car to finish in the field, Johnny Bell, tried to get her back out there and then found trouble again. He'll finish 13th. Randy Huff, an early retirement, unfortunately. 14th for him. 15th going to go to Ove Trengrade. Of course, we well documented his problem and error in the race there, and sad to see him go out early, but last place for Ove Trengrade, and you're not going to hear that much here on the Global Sim Racing channel, Joe.
Indeed. It was unfortunately the fact that it happened early that caused him to fall all the way to the back. But we have our second place driver, Dave Price, to talk to us. And Dave, you had a little bit of pressure there at the start, but after a while you started to pull away. And from there, was it mostly just you focusing on fighting with the track?
Yes. Yeah, I had some issues in the first lap or a couple of laps, slipping and sliding around over the bumps, and Ovo was all over me. And then I don't know what happened to him. I saw him sort of briefly flash in my mirror, and suddenly he sort of disappeared from the lap board. But yeah, it's a pretty challenging track in the 49, that one.
I can attest to that myself. Like I said in the thread, I was glad that I'm up here calling the race. Now, for you, what do you think is the most difficult part of this track? Is there a particular corner or a particular hump that always kind of scares you?
Yeah, I think the bit that's most likely to kill you is actually the long straight after the banked hairpin, because there's two sections there as you sort of go over the rise where you lose traction, and I ended up running off into the grass on about lap 2 or 3, and it's so easy to end your race even when you're going down the straights there. But I know it's not an especially popular track, judging by what was being said in the sort of on the chat in the race, but I actually quite like it. It's a shame there isn't more overtaking, a bit more opportunity for some side by side. But in terms of driving, it's really fun. I just I feel like today I was first of the humans to see Michel's place.
David, Sean, just a quick question for you: have you actually ever been to Oulton Park before?
Yeah, I have. I've driven it. I used to have a Lotus 7 or Caterham 7, which I took to Oulton Park probably about 10 years ago now. And I must say that it's nice when you get to drive a track that you've actually been around in iRacing, and it's amazingly accurate. The only thing they haven't got is it always rains at Oulton Park.
Well, you know what? I know a bit of history about Oulton Park and the fact they do a lot of track days, have a lot of events coming up. In fact, they've got the Tuner Fest coming up here in I think just next weekend. I think that is. So it's like bring your hot rod and get out on Oulton Park and have some fun with us. They got like a time attack challenge going there, but they've got all kinds of events going on all the time there. That's a pretty busy racetrack, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, it is. A lot of the UK circuits get a lot of use these days. I used to spend a lot of time at Cadwell Park as well, which is a circuit I'd love to see in iRacing. It's a fantastic place, but also Brands and Donington, lots of track days, both motorbikes and cars. So yeah, it's really good fun. Really nice place.
Do you take in for the 2 wheels occasionally there, Dave, or do you like to keep it on 4?
Yeah, I'm 50 now, so I've kind of I stick to 4. I know it's no excuse, but I felt like I had my time on bikes and got away with it a couple of times. So, but yeah, I did a few track days on a pre-RS 250 at Cadwell, which is a beautiful bike. It was a race prepped bike that I hired for the day, and yeah, really good fun, but pretty scary too.
One last question for you, Dave, before we let you go. You talk about how hair-raising and scary parts of this track is. We've got Monza combined next. Are you looking forward to that? Are you one of the drivers that really enjoys that high-speed oval?
Well, yeah, I absolutely love racing at Monza. It's such a different track than everywhere else we go, and I had a fantastic race there last season with Michel. We dummied me coming into the Parabolica, the clever Frenchman that he is. I finished about half 10th behind him, so I absolutely love it. But unfortunately, I'm going to miss the next 2 races because I'm heading off to Florida with the family. So it's a shame it's coincided with both Monza and Bathurst. But I guess going to Florida is some consolation.
I was going to say, not a bad reason to miss, though. Well, enjoy the sunny Florida. Just don't melt in the heat over here. But congratulations on 2nd place, and hope to see you when you come back.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. See you soon.
That was Dave Price, 2nd place finisher here in round 6. And that's going to close it up today. A big thank you to the Lotus 49 community and Ben Zocco for help organizing everybody to bring GSRC back for another season of coverage. We're halfway through now. 6 more rounds to go for us. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media. You can find us on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head on over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button so that you don't miss a moment here on the GSRC. I mentioned it just a moment ago. Next week, we're going to Monza. And again, that is the old combined course, the high-banked oval with the road course. And it doesn't have the chicanes. They like to do it old school style here in the World Cup. That'll be Saturday, July 28th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.